last few years, we've heard the term free agents and been told we would all need to become one in order to succeed. The recent economic structures have helped to promote this concept as reality. Where do we get the tools to take control of our career path in the present and future? Welcome to The Career Confidant with your host, Marie Zimenoff. Marie and her guest experts are here to provide you with the tools you need to move forward and achieve your career goals. Now, here is Marie Zimenoff.
Hello and welcome to the Career Confidant, and we're glad that you're here today or tonight, wherever you're listening to this from. And you are going to be glad that you've joined us because we have an excellent conversation today with one of our career colleagues, Abdullah Al-Qaim, and he is going to be sharing with us some innovative ideas around finding your career direction. So thank you for joining us, Abdullah.
You're very welcome, Mary. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so you have been in technology and in the careers world. You are currently in Canada, but you've worked in the US, the UAE, and India, Jordan. So you have just a diverse experience. And I wonder how you came to be in the career space. What led you to working in careers?
Yeah, definitely. So I guess all of that is my curiosity. I'm a very, very curious person. And since I was very young, I actually wanted to study psychology. So things around self-discovery, self-awareness is something always been appealing for me. It helped me with a lot of things in my life. And I find with the strongest connection to things around, like, let's say, self-discovery and self-awareness in the kind of like in the practical world when it comes to coaching and other things would be career development. So for me, the intersection between, like me just, as you said, like being in all these countries and doing all these different jobs, and also my passion for psychology and self-awareness together, kind of like career development in a way, it's combine them together, yeah.
Wow, interesting. Getting to work with all the best of the worlds in the career space, which of course I agree with. It's the best work. So tell us a little bit about how you've started to use design thinking to help people envision their career. We've got so many people looking to change careers today. How can they use design thinking? And tell me a little more about that.
Yeah, definitely. So design thinking comes a lot. It's a very famous model or concept when it comes to more like startups, like product-based companies, I would say, people working in technology. So big part of my career, I actually always had two careers, kind of like one helping people, things around like nonprofits, like coaching, training, and the other one is in technology and business. So in technology, usually we use design thinking to solve problems. So product managers or people trying to build something, they would use design thinking as a way to build, like the kind of best product and get the best feedback from customers. So if we look at our life as a product or as a project, then, and if we look at what design thinking is all about, it's all about emphasizing with the customer. So if we apply that on ourselves in a way, we kind of like see that emphasizing and figure out what you want is kind of like the most important thing. And this is like the first step in design thinking. And for me, it's kind of like a nice way to, again, combine discovering yourself, kind of like link it with, like looking at your life as a product or as a project.
Yeah, that's fascinating. So we look at it like a project. We think about how we can, you said, get feedback from customers. So what are the practical steps that someone might take to apply this to their finding their career fit?
Definitely. So the first step in design thinking and, generally is figure out what you want. And this comes to, like what's your personality, what's your values. A lot of these things we usually overlook. We just want to right away jump into, finding a job or maybe like optimizing a resume, optimizing our LinkedIn. But a lot of times, like job seekers, I'm sure you know this as well, like we don't put a lot of attention to that. So first of all, emphasizing with yourself, I would say. So figure out what you want, building kind of like a vision, and then setting up like the other steps in design thinking. It would be like ideating and like prototyping. So that's when it comes the career world. We call it like an action plan. So setting an action plan, not just going randomly applying, like knowing like let's say you want a certain role and then just going applying for random job applications around that role or title. So like having kind of like a vision and action plan that will surround around that title or role or vision you have set for yourself from, let's say, step one.
And fascinating. So when someone is trying to figure out what that looks like or who it sounds like the customer is a big part of this. So how do you help your clients identify who those other stakeholders are in their career before they get going?
So for this, if we look at customers as people who can give us like valuable feedback, if I'm building a business or I'm building something, customers in the case of someone, a job seeker, like someone looking for a career change or looking for a job, it would be people, it would be your managers, it would be people around you, even your family. So like when I say figure out what's your strength and what's your values and skills, so like a lot of times if we ask the people around us, like what do you think is something that I am good at generally? So if you ask like 5-6 people from your best friends, family, people who've managed you before, people you've traveled with before, you're gonna figure out like a pattern, like if 3 of them tell you that okay, you're actually very good with people and you're very good with listening, then you know that this is like a great feedback that you should apply for jobs that needs people who are good listeners, for example. And it goes the same if they tell you let's say you are good in like speaking, then you would know like things like around sales or like things around marketing or things like around teaching people, training people would be. Looking at people around us kind of like, so that's one part. The other part is just like really sometimes it's about, one of the things I do is like I would reach out to people, I would call them like mentors, people working in the same area what I want to work in, and then I would just send them some messages, try to connect with them and take their feedback about my resume, maybe take their feedback about, what's my next step should be for my career. So like if I'm trying to, do an MBA now, or should I go for a senior role? So if we find random people we don't know, like it's easy to find them on LinkedIn with keywords and all that, then we can always message them, and people are always willing to give advice. So if you look at, instead of customers as people are strangers, they're going to give you this input about your life or your career as someone, as a valuable feedback, then a lot of times that is something really, so in a way, on abstract level, is the same. When you're building a company, you just need to hear a feedback from customers and strangers and people who don't know your business. So it goes the same with you if you are, I would say, like a job seeker.
Yeah, and that's so important. People to know what they're good at, but to also get that external perspective as to what they're good at. So I love that you bring that up. I know that you are a fan of the strengths-based method is not the right word, strengths-based philosophy. So what other tools besides kind of getting this external ideas of what your strengths are, what other tools do you use with people to figure out their strengths?
So I'm a big fan also of personality assessment, and I there's MBTI is a great example. It's very famous. A lot of people use it. But one of the ways I know that sometimes there's also critics among people about this because they want to put someone in a box. The way I find helpful with my clients or with even myself, like it works for me very well, is like to do, for example, like 3 different personality assessments and then see where is the intersection between them. So the other one would be Big 5, and they call it the Ocean model, and it's a scientific-based personality assessment. And if you do an MBTI, and it tells you like you're an, let's say you're an ENFP, like you're an extrovert, right? But then you also do the Big Five, and the Big Five would tell you like you are high in extroversion, then you would know for sure that extroversion is one of your strengths. So this way you kind of like, so usually when it goes the same on our point, we were talking about gathering feedback. So sometimes we go on this one career coach or one mentor or one manager, and we hear one perspective, and then we think this is what's right. But when it comes to design thinking, it's all about listening to many different inputs and then seeing where is the pattern, where is the intersection between all of them. So if we apply that also on the tools or like the personality assessment we're using, we take multiple perspectives of them, and then we see where do they kind of like intersect together. Then that would tell us, that this is like a really good thing to pursue, for example, or focus on.
Yeah, and that assessments can be tricky, but they are, as you said, they're a place to start a conversation. They give you some insight. They're not meant to be an answer, although oftentimes our clients want that, right? They want that answer of what should I do? What should I do? So let's just kind of recap for people if they are wanting to use design thinking in their career search. What's the first step? How do they get started? Or are there some resources that they can check out on design thinking?
Yeah, sure. So, it depends on the person, what area they are like in. Are they in the IT world? Are they more like in the nonprofits? Are they more like in business management? So I would say if anyone Google design thinking, then you will see like hundreds of different material that will show you like how the model is built. And again, the first step is emphasize. So first, if we want to emphasizing with yourself, figure out doing reflection, figure out what you want, what's your strength, what's your skills, and then emphasizing with people. So reaching out to different people, the coaches or the mentors you're working with, but also different managers, different people who've worked with you before, your ex-colleagues, and then trying to see what feedback I can hear about them, about myself. And sometimes it's not necessarily like really a feedback that is like verbal or written like from a person. It could be you literally just open up. Let's say you've been you've been working for 10 years, then opening up all the versions of your resume for 10 years and seeing what could be something that you've always highlighted between all these 10 years. So in my case, for example, I've done a lot of different roles. But when I put them all beside each other and I try to see, okay, actually, there's a pattern that's telling me that, okay, I've always done different roles, but like I've always been in this specific industry. That means I should always be focusing on, for example, this industry. So sometimes it's not necessarily like people input as a people. It could be data. It could be your documents, your previous resume. It could be, your previous like even open up your Facebook history from 7 years ago and seeing your post and seeing how was your kind of, your personality 7 years ago. Because a lot of times these kind of like all different data, if we look at them, it would give us like really good, highlights and really good things, that insights, I would say, that we can help us figure out what we want now, what we should do right now.
Excellent. Love that. Yeah, so much jewels come out of just that self-reflection and looking backwards. What have you enjoyed? When have you been really happy in your work? And sometimes not even just paid work, but volunteer work or volunteer committees and those types of things as well. So we're going to take a short break. And when we come back, continue talking about how you can use design thinking and then some of the other ideas of getting your career outside of the box. So we'll help you get outside of the box about your career when we get back in just a few minutes.
Voice America Business Network, the bottom line in business. You know that the career landscape has changed and that you need to be proactive about managing your career. You can have the foresight, skills, and confidence you need to take charge of your career and seize opportunities. A strategic advantage and career expert, Marie Zimenoff has helped thousands of leaders like you get focused, get found, and get hired. Visit getcareersmart.com to find out more. That's getcareersmart.com or call 800-521-2080 to schedule your complimentary consultation.
Today, expertise equals credibility. When you know what to do and how to do it, people follow because they acknowledge that you know more. However, stepping up in your career eventually pushes you out of your comfort zone of expertise. How you lead at those moments requires new skills. We're here to show you how to survive and thrive. Join me, Wanda Wallace, on Out of the Comfort Zone at Voice America Business Channel. You can find more information at leadershipforuminc.com.
You hear about it all the time. Compromises, destructive malware, major breaches. You can't turn on the news without hearing about the latest cyber event. Learn more about cybersecurity, how it has become one of the most significant threats to our national security, and the battle experts undergo every day on your behalf to protect you, your families, and your data. Task Force 7 Radio with host George Reedus is the voice of cybersecurity around the world. Tune in live every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific on the Voice America Business Channel.
You are tuned in to The Career Confidant with Marie Zimenoff. If you have a question or comment for Marie or her guest today, please call 1-866-472-5790. That's 1-866-472-5790. You may also send an email to marie@astrategicadvantage.com. Now, back to The Career Confidant.
Hello and welcome back to the Career Confidant. And today we are talking with Abdullah about how we can use design thinking in our career. And then we are also thinking about, so we've been talking about this in terms of career change, but at the break, we were talking about how the idea of self-discovery or self-awareness is not just important in career change, but also in career management and advancement, because of course it's the underpinning of our emotional intelligence. We really have to know ourselves. And so as you were talking about the assessments, that is an important piece of and it doesn't have to be a formal assessment, although formal assessments offer a lot of value. Even just introspection and some good lines of questioning for ourselves or working with a coach can help uncover some of those patterns and thinking philosophies, ways of being that will give us insights that we need to be more effective. So anything else that you would add here as we wrap up this topic of design thinking in our career?
No, I think pretty much a lot of what I touched on. I mean, I always actually produce content on and I can, at the end of, I'm sure, I can tell people where to find me, but I'm happy to connect if everyone wants to connect with me and hear more about this topic and how we can connect, the world of design thinking and even technology or productizing yourself as a job seeker. That's something I would be happy to.
Yeah, so that idea of productizing ourselves leads us into our next conversation about freelancing. So freelancing, side hustles, people having some kind of either business or side business has just blown up during COVID. People have found opportunities to get creative. And how are you seeing this impact careers? What do people need to know if they're thinking about, or maybe they're already doing a side hustle, but they want to make it more effective?
Definitely. So I think we all agree that connections is one of the most important aspects to find a job. So referrals, connections, connecting with people. And, the more you do side hustles, extracurricular projects, freelance things, even volunteering, things like that, you will be able to build connections. And I see a lot of people overlook this. One of the most things that really gave me all the things I did before, all my travels, all the accomplishments I did, was basically the power of connecting with people. And that's where because since I started, like, since I graduated till now, it's almost like been 10 years. I've been always doing side projects. I've always been doing part-time jobs, like besides my main job. And I think what helped me with this, and I can give maybe like a personal reflection from myself, is because I know what I want, and I always paid attention to self-awareness and self-discovery. So I always kind of like chosen jobs that fit well with myself. So I know I don't want to sound like working all two jobs or a part-time with a full-time. It sounds like a lot of work, but if your full-time job, you're doing something that aligns with yourself, you're not going to feel, you're going to like what you do, and that will give you enough energy and motivation to pursue another part-time job or work on weekends, sometimes on a side project. So I think one of the main points comes to my mind, one is connecting that to the first part what we were talking about, is like if you pay attention to self-discovery, self-awareness, you know what you want, what kind of jobs fit with you well, and you choose that, then it will be easier for you to focus on freelancing, like side hustles, and all that. And the second point, it would be like the power of connection. So whether it's COVID or pre-COVID, and I'm sure it's going to be post-COVID even more, like the more we were able to do these extra projects, the more we were able to interact with different industries, different people, and that's going to give us a good, more connections, which is going to help us like land the job we want, or accomplish whatever we want to do in our career.
Yeah, and it gives you such an opportunity to make new connections, as you're talking about the power of connections. When you do these types of projects, it can give you that opportunity to make more connections in the areas that you want to move into. It obviously also gives you an opportunity to use and build skills that maybe you're not getting an opportunity to do at work. So when people are thinking about a side hustle or a project, oftentimes they make it bigger than it needs to be, or they might say, I'm going to go do something I've never done before. And maybe a passion project is going to lead you in that direction, but you might also think about the skills that you want to get and how could you build those, or the skills that you already have and how could you market those differently so that you're not starting from scratch. I don't know if you see people, I guess let's ask you that. What are some of the mistakes you see people make when they want to go and freelance or start a side hustle?
Yeah, so I think it would be for if the side hustle or like the secondary thing you're doing is purely for money and you're not passionate about it, that's going to give you hard times, because working every evening 3 extra hours after your full time, if you're doing something that is not fit with your like skills, but also your like natural talent and strength, then that's just gonna make you stressed more, exhausted more, and it's gonna make you burn out. So although I said that it's important for you to do like your main job, the full time, as something like aligned very well with you, but I would say even that's more when it comes to. So yeah, I see a lot of people trying to jump into opportunities for things that might just be out of profit. I think I would start even volunteering and doing maybe like different volunteering projects and seeing which one of them is the one that gives you the most energy, and then focus on that, trying to make profit out of that. But because if you just do it from the beginning just for money without really thinking if this is something I can do well and I'm talented at doing, then you're just gonna like give up on freelancing and like side projects, because it's just gonna exhaust you and maybe get you to a burnout.
Yeah, so it's going to be somewhere, and people are going to choose for different reasons, whether they choose something that is a passion or they choose something that allows them to build a skill. Just like people choose a career for a different reason, you're going to choose that side hustle. So just having that awareness around what it is that you're choosing and why is so critical. So let's talk a little bit about our last topic today, and you made me very curious with this statement here around the beautiful connection between self-awareness and career development. We've been dancing around it a little bit, but I'd just love to hear your thoughts and what is this beautiful connection between self-awareness and career development?
Definitely, yeah. So I guess, yeah, we already. I'm kind of like, you can call me an evangelist for self-awareness. So it's something I'm passionate about. Also, I see the world needs to more. So I guess the beautiful connection, or how I see it, is because of the fast pace of life nowadays, and because of technology, all the tools we have, because of the distractions. There's so many distractions, right? Technology, tools, and everything we're doing now, the speed of everything is just a distraction from ourselves a lot of times. So because of the stress and distraction, that make us don't really spend a lot of time with ourselves to reflect and think about what we want. And that just, for a lot of people, when I talk about self-awareness, they just think it's something more like, it sounds like, cute, or it sounds something nice to have. It's not, but that's all because if we think about it, it's really because of the way our lifestyle is built. And because of our life is very fast and there's not much time really to think about these things, then that's where if you need to dedicate time like regularly to think about these things. I actually read recently like a nice research saying that every 5, I think, to 7 years, people passion or like people vision or people like goals change. So when we say reflect and think about what I want, is not only if you are like you're still a student or you're still like starting early on. I would say it's even something that every person needs in whatever phase in their life. Maybe like at every phase of their life, if they're immigrating to a new country, if they're like going to like a new whatever is happening in their life, every once in a while they need to put that much attention into reflecting and thinking about these things. So and from practically how it's a lot have to do with the career world, I would say I see a lot of the people change their career when they're like 30, 40 years old. They regret a lot of what they did, or they figure out like they get to a burnout, they figure out like a lot of what they did is not something they wanted. So if someone actually early on start putting time and attention and focus into self-awareness and figure out what they want and build around it, then they want to get into a phase later on where they discover that they need to, change. And I'm not saying like it's okay. I mean, whatever you did before, you can utilize that for your next step. But if you were careful from the beginning and you paid attention to what you wanted from the beginning, then that would just save you a lot of time and a lot of resources. Just imagining like you spend that much amount of money on 4 years degree, and then after 5 years discover that's not where you wanted. Just for me, the idea of like choosing something from early on, like something you want to study, and saving all that money, it's just like it's a lot of value I see there. So I hope that makes sense. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, very helpful information just to think about how important it is. And we often don't take time to do that, right? We don't take time to introspect it, and it is so valuable throughout our career for so many different reasons. So I appreciate that. Now, before we say goodbye, tell us again how people can connect with you. How can they find you to learn more and follow along with your insights?
Definitely. And by the way, thank you very much. I'm very happy, to be talking to you. I told you before, like, CTL is one of my favorite communities. Just the amount of great insights you share with us regularly is something I'm very grateful for. And just seeing someone like you, a fellow change maker, I know you're doing your thing. You're fighting for your passion every day, and you're always trying to maintain your vision. I could see that. So that's something I would say a good inspiration and motivation for me to keep doing also my thing. Now, I'm Abdullah and Beyond. That's my website, and that's also my social media handles. So my website would be abdullahandbeyond.com. And my social media, Instagram, LinkedIn, I always produce content in English. I have other accounts where I do content in Arabic. But I would say Instagram and LinkedIn is mainly where you can find me, Abdullah Mbion. I always create content about self-awareness, technology, and things around like career exploration and career discovery. So I would love to connect with anyone who wants to chat about this more or just want to, to talk about something else.